What I learned after traveling over 2,000 miles to art shows. Hi, I'm Chris of Wilson Wildlife Sculpture. I'm still a little tired because I had back-to-back art shows. I'm sorry I haven't been posting in a while. I did post videos of these two art shows. There are some very big art shows, wildlife art shows in the country on my YouTube channel that you can watch under art shows. So I hope to share with you some valuable experience as I reflect on these experiences. I've been exhibiting at shows for approximately 40 years. Since I was just a teenager, I did shows. And I've been a full-time artist for over 30 years. So I've got lots of experience, and I've had quite an adventure. And first of all, I traveled on election day just over a couple weeks ago. And I had to bypass Washington, D.C., which turned out to be no problem. I was a little bit wary on election day, and actually, thereafter the results, but no problem. And I was actually invited to one of the nation's premier events for wildlife, art, conservation, and culture. That's what it celebrates in Easton, Maryland. It is called the Waterfowl Festival, and here is the federal duck stamp winner, which was announced at the, which was shown at the Waterfowl Festival. This, believe it or not, is their 53rd show, I believe. Yes, 53rd show. It's in a small town of Easton, Maryland. That's quite a piece by Adam Grimm that just won the federal duck stamp. And they had goose calling competitions. They had decoys, photography, painting, sculpture, carving, you name it. The Waterfowl Festival has it. In fact, one of my good friends, Ronnie Wells, was the featured sculptor. He's 80 years old, from Texas, does beautiful bronze sculptures and paintings. And he had this really neat raft of canvasbacks and a painting with a limward canvasback decoy that he painted. And he made a sculpture of it in bronze. So that was the centerpiece sculpture in the pavilion, which was a large tent. And immediately I learned about tents, because I am not an exhibitor who usually shows in tents outdoors. I have my own tent. I've done some shows during nice weather. But even though there was their 53rd show, I will give the advice right away: don't get a tent with a clear top, okay? It happened to be 80 degrees in Easton, Maryland, which is extremely warm. They usually have cool, overcast days up there this time of year in the fall. And it's to celebrate the waterfowl migrating along the Atlantic coast. And the Waterfowl Festival is a nonprofit organization that raises money for conservation, and namely the Chesapeake Bay. So I learned immediately that the tents with clear tops, it was vinyl. It kept, it didn't rain all weekend, which was nice, but it got very hot. So it actually acted as a greenhouse, and it must have been 100 degrees inside that tent when I set up on Wednesday and Thursday. That show started as a preview night, Thursday night, but I got there early Wednesday, right after Election Day, got set up, some of my pedestals and lights. They didn't have security, and I haven't learned the hard way, but I know from experience that you don't put any work out when there's no security. Anyone can come in the tent, and but I did take a risk with my pedestals and my lights, and actually have some work here that was at the show. Actually, this one wasn't, or this one, but this one was. It's part of my Spirit series. And these miniatures and birds, they have real rock bases. So this clear tent, I was fortunately not in the direct sun like some of the artists were. And that's not a good sign. It's not a good thing for artwork to be displayed during any direct light. Artwork can fade, and worse, it can have effects. I mean, my stone bases were hot to touch. That's how hot it got. So I did have a table in front of my pedestals, and you can watch during that setup, that display. Unfortunately, I don't have a full video of the Waterfowl Festival because it it involves many locations around Easton, Maryland. And so I was in the pavilion, which was the giant tent with the featured sculptor. I have other friends who came all over the country. There are artists who come from different parts of the world to this show, but namely across the United States, and you name it, all throughout the United States to this I guess Easton is considered a city. It's not a town, but everything shuts down. The schools, they support this show big time. And they're still learning. That's what I was told about, getting a new tent. And I think it looked good, especially at night with the lights. They had natural light. But I'm a sculptor who brings in artificial lights because I do more indoor shows. Just like I have a natural kind of a filtered light when I do my videos here, so I don't get harsh shadows on my artwork. Of course, I'm really tired now, so I probably don't look that great, but I think it's important to share some information. I want to, I want to just help people interested in art in general, and I've learned from many other mentors, so this is my way of giving back. So yeah, tents with that are naturally have natural light is not good. You want it blocked off, and you want to have artificial light. So it got very hot. Also, it got too bright, and so the whole it was a 4-day show, and so the viewers, over half of them had sunglasses to look at my work, and I didn't even need my artificial lights on. The light was so strong, was right in their eyes, and that is not a good thing. In fact, there was an artist who had one of her paintings that was melting in the tent. She may have used some encaustic, that's wax, in her paint, but that's just not right. And they're learning, as we all do, and hopefully you do too in this video. But actually, the last day ended up being overcast, and the other days became cooler. They opened the sides of the tent. And so there were people that came to the show. I mean, obviously the show, but to my area of the pavilion, that is the large tent. And this is a large tent with about 30 exhibitors in it. And I had a pretty big space too. So I was honored to win this award. This is another blessing of the show. And this is the Ed Burns Memorial Award. Ed Burns, actually just the Ed Burns Award for outstanding presentation. I got first place. So that is quite an honor because there were over 350 artists at the Waterfowl Festival. That's a lot of competition. I didn't do that great. I did okay, paid expenses. I've done this show before between 2005 and 2011, back when I was a full-time professor of art. I actually went on sabbatical in 2008 to do my art full-time. And I debuted new work, like I was mentioning, the Spirit series of miniature birds. And fortunately, selling one of them paid my gas expenses. And the last day was the last hour of the show, actually, right before closing, I made a good sale. So it wasn't bad. It wasn't what I expected, but given the location and not being there a long time, over 13 years, I think I did okay. And what I also want to stress, I'll talk about my next show that I just came back from as well, is the lessons I've learned by showing for so long. It's really not about how much you sell, how much you make. Of course, that's nice, and everyone wants to make money. I do this full time, so it's important. But it's also about the experience that you have, the people you meet, how you impact other people's lives, and how they impact yours. So I learned quite a bit from the generosity of the Waterfowl Festival. I stayed with a host family, incredible people who, after driving 12 hours to get there, they cooked me a homemade nice beef stew, delicious dinner, and I am just so blessed and thankful for that. Because I used to stay in hotels, it was hard to get a hotel around there that was anywhere decent, and oh my gosh, I have horror stories of staying in places. One time I just stayed in my van because it was, just couldn't find a safe place and things were too pricey. So, I mean, this is a real blessing as a full-time artist to have that kind of support. And I mean, they were incredible. Not only did they cook that dinner, they hosted another artist who I became great friends with. He actually judged at the World Championships, or he continues to judge there. Dick Snyder, if you're watching, Dick, great to meet you. So yeah, I got to know Dick and his wife Kathy from Pennsylvania. Great folks, very experienced carver. Had lots in common with him, and just the host and the whole experience was wonderful. That's what makes these events worth it. When you meet generous people, you meet people who come to your work, and I'll read some comments they made in my book later, so you can see how I'm still reflecting on this whole experience. But the host family was so wonderful. Thank you so much, Tom and Sheila. You guys are great. And I mean, I can't even go into everything they did for me, as well as Dick. I mean, Dick welcomed me as a friend before he even knew me, just like Tom and Sheila. Hand turning a pen that was really, really well done. And, and then he just gifted me some supplies. He gave me a great tip, and I hope to share that in future videos, how to use metal for habitat. So, I mean, it's overwhelming how much people want to help, and given how divided our country is, I was going up there during an election. We're such, polarized and divisive time. But it's difficult to, understand so much generosity. And really, we don't talk politics. We just, talk what we have in common. And that's, a lot of it is, the art and nature. It's beautiful up there in the Chesapeake Bay. And again, I have videos on that on my YouTube channel, showing the pavilion of the tent. I did not have time to go outside the tent, but I did show the entire my second show, which I'll mention in a little bit. Also, I'll just flip through this the Attraction magazine, which is all about the Waterfowl Festival. In fact, the editor of it interviewed 20 artists. That's painters, photographers, and sculptors, and they chose me as one of the artists to write an article on. And that was very nice, having that exposure, and just a write-up. So yeah, I'll show you that. Actually, you can read it on my website, the article. It's called The Spirituality of let's see what it's called here. So here is the, again, the Federal Duck Stamp winner, which was at the show. And so much, here's a bronze sculptor that was down from me. Actually, he did pretty well at the show. He came all the way from Wisconsin. And Ronnie Wells, I don't know if you can see his painting in his sculpture there, which I was describing. But it's a really great guy. I'm so glad he had that honor to be featured at the Waterfowl Festival. So I'm going to go to find my article here. Here we go. It's called "The Spiritual Sculptures Evoke Spiritual Feelings." See if you can see that. There's a kestrel I did. The pictures didn't come out. Came out a little bit dark. But I had this woodpecker as my centerpiece, which you can see at both of my shows. And so this is a really nice write-up, and I really appreciate the support. I appreciate the family of Ed Burns, who's passed away, to give me this honor for best presentation. That means a really lot, especially with so many artists across the world. I spend lots of time setting up my display, and that kind of presentation is how I do well in my business. Being trained as a sculptor and having a master's degree in fine arts, I'm real aware of spatial awareness and color. All the elements and principles of art and design, they all come together to help my presentation as well as each sculpture. So, yeah, I just want to talk about, after that show, it was a very humbled experience. I had to really reflect because it was a long way to travel. But I did a more local show, and that is in South Georgia. I'm from North Georgia, and this was called the Wildlife Arts Festival in Thomasville, Georgia. And talk about Southern hospitality. they gave me this bag. They gave every artist a nice bag with information about Thomasville and the show. You know, they have, actually both shows have meals for artists, but the Thomasville show raises money for the Thomasville Cultural Center in Thomasville, and so that's raising money for the arts. The Thomasville Cultural Center is an arts center. So I'm all about supporting the arts, just like I am conservation. And I've actually exhibited at the Plantation Wildlife Arts Festival. That's what it used to be called. Now it's just the Wildlife Arts Festival, for over 25 years. So it's really an honor to be invited back again and again and again. It's only, I think, next year will be their 30th year. This was the 29th year. And one thing I learned at that show, I just came back from last weekend, just a couple of days ago, is that I didn't want to deal with natural light again, okay? And unfortunately, I had a location that was by a window without any screening. And I mean, no blinds or curtains. So I was like, oh no, it's going to be a beautiful weekend again. That means natural light is going to shine directly in people's eyes. So I thought through the process. I brought some black and silver cloth with me, but my centerpiece was black. It was a pilly woodpeckers, life size, my paired woodpeckers. And so the black wouldn't work. The silver would work, but the light shined right through it. But fortunately, a nice volunteer helped me find some cardboard, and so I made a big template for the window, and then I put my silver reflective cloth around the cardboard and draped it and framed it in the window, and that was my backdrop for my display. So there was no natural light that I had to compete with. It was just my professional lights, so I'm able to control my setting. And as a result, I did much better at that show. Even though the show's much smaller. I mean, there's probably only 30 to 40 artists in that show. In fact, this is the program for Thomasville. The featured artist was from Jackson Hole, Wyoming. She was very nice. Actually, I gave a presentation during that show that you can watch. I got to find the link. It's called Land and Lore. So I was in a panel discussion with 3 other artists, and the chairman of the person in charge of putting together the Wildlife Arts Festival there. That's Sam McCoy, wonderful artist and organizer. So that was a great experience talking about land and conservation, and to me, linked with my ancestor, William Bartram, America's first artist / naturalist, and how land is being managed down there in the South Hills region of Georgia and northern Florida, which has the highest concentration of bobwhite quail in the country. So I learned a lot down there. I mean, I've been learning every year since going down there, and I have a wonderful family that are friends of mine that have hosted me. So that is a wonderful experience. Matter of fact, after I set up, I had to battle the rain all the way down from Easton, Maryland, all the way to Georgia, and then I had a rest for a couple of days. Then it rained again as I went all the way down to Thomasville. It's only 4 hours from north of me. I'm in north of Atlanta. But then it dried out and happened to be a beautiful weekend. I set up. It took me a full day to set up. I'm one of the hardest working artists. Most painters can set up like in an hour or two. It takes me about 10 hours. But I set up in one day and had the next morning off, and I was able to explore some of the region, which I didn't get a chance to do in the Chesapeake Bay. I would have loved to have spent more time because I did drive a ways to my host family there, and it was beautiful. And I always loved looking at birds and nature. And actually, I drove a back route to the Thomasville show. Rather than take I-75, I took I-85 that took me outside of Atlanta through LaGrange and Columbus, and then some beautiful areas where I saw deer, I saw kestrels on the side of the road perched on high tension wires and fences. It was beautiful. So after I set up at the Cultural Center, I went exploring with my good friend Randy down in Thomasville. And I heard turkey, we saw lots of birds, egrets, herons, and it was beautiful. We even saw a deer. Actually, I didn't see it. I heard a big splash, and Randy, my friend, saw the deer actually jump into a pond. And this was a new pond that was just formed there. They moved a lot of dirt. It used to be 2 small ponds, and now it's almost a lake. It's pretty big. And so the deer must have been scared because it's hunting season down there. And this was a young deer, just a fawn with spots on it still. It jumped in the water, and man, was it fast. I first thought it was a dog just swimming, but this was faster than any dog could swim, and it went right across the pond, and then it veered off towards the woods. And then when it got out, you could see it pause for a couple seconds because I'm sure it was catching its breath, and it just took off. But that was a sublime moment. I've never witnessed deer swimming like that before. And also I saw an alligator, which we don't see too much up here in North Georgia. But I actually was right in the boundary I was in Florida, and there was a cool lake with cypress trees, a bunch of cypress knees, and an little alligator, well, it was about 4 feet long. It was right on the trail, sunning itself, but it quickly scurried off. As a matter of fact, it was an in and out trail. As we came back, it was on the trail again, but it scurried off, so no issues with alligators. But they're fast, and it's a cool moment to see. So what else have I learned from these shows? I did better in Thomasville. These events are humbling, or just, actually that's not a word, just I'm humbled by the experience. The generosity of so many people, all the volunteers and organizers. You just don't know how you're going to do at the shows. Part of it's good luck, part of it's your presentation, part of it's being there for a while, getting to know people, and I'm blessed to have some contacts and friends that come back to my shows. I'm also blessed to have my family, my fiance's support. That's a lesson learned. My fiance has been more recently at my shows, but she couldn't because she's working. So I was alone these last 2 shows for traveling well over 2,000 miles. It's tough driving that far, especially at my age. Wasn't as bad 15, 20 years ago, but as you grow older, it's good. I learned to actually do the TB method. It's called Tom Brady method of plyometrics, and I actually use rollers and roll my muscles out, and it actually helps while driving, and your body to recover faster. So yeah, I try to eat healthy and exercise, but yeah, driving long distances is challenging, so that helps. And I'm also very grateful for especially my father, who used to travel with me, and my mom's support, and my brother. They look after my house when I'm gone, which is huge. But my father used to help me at these shows. He would always go with me, and what a blessing that has been in my life, because it wasn't for my family and their support, my fiance, this would be much, much more difficult. So I just have a new appreciation for family and friends, and also people I just met who are acting, they treat me like family. Just their generosity has me thinking more about the Buddhist philosophy of life, where I'm a Christian, but I accept all different, I'm learning from all different cultures around the world and religions. So everything is cyclical. If you help people, things come back to you. So the more you give, the more you get in return, the more you receive. And that's something I really learned from these experiences, beyond just making money or not making money. That's so much more important in life than just making money. Of course, we all need to pay the bills and everything. But I met so many great folks. I'm going to end with just reading some of the statements that I got at my display. And this is a tip to have a guest book at art shows, so that you can record comments as well as get people's interest and information. So my last show, I didn't get a lot of comments, but I got some addresses here. I mean, people said amazing skill. We are enjoying our beautiful piece of art. This is a piece I sold several years ago, and I haven't seen this person in many years, and it's nice seeing that they're enjoying the art. So that's always nice to see. And these comments really mean a lot to artists. So if you can give them praise or constructive criticism, because it's very easy to go by someone's display and say, oh, I don't like that. And generally artists can kind of overhear that. So it's nice to be constructive and have nice comments, or just don't try not to say anything at all, because art, people have very personal taste with art, and I understand that. One of my first comments in Easton, Maryland was beautiful work. It's nice, awesome, incredible. Okay, I've got short comments. Okay, and here's from my new friend. He says, great to have you as a new friend. Beautiful work. So that meant a lot, having that new friendship, someone I can share tips with, and I'm actually currently writing thank you letters to all these people who've impacted my life and have helped me. Here's another one. Very, what is that? Very fun and inventive. Okay, I think they were commenting on the spiritual series. I'm not sure. This is a little more contemporary. It meant to be a little bit more fun, and as I explain it many times, because people don't understand what spirit crows are and spirit flycatchers. These birds aren't even out there. That's one of the issues I had. Cedartail flycatcher is a western bird, but it's a beautiful bird. I'm trying to capture the spirit of the animals or the birds, and kind of a northwestern art form that the Native Americans believed that the birds were spirits. And different cultures are, have different, different meanings across the world. Some people believe in spirit birds, and I had lots of people come to me and talk about that. This was a great, this guy was trying to get back into wood carving, and I gave him all kinds of tips. And that's one of my purposes of this channel. You can watch my videos, and you can get my instructional videos on my website where I show all the processes. So this fellow said, "My favorite of all. Thank you for the inspiration!" Exclamation points. So that's what I'm out to do. I'm out to inspire all. This person says, "Love the detail, exciting work." Another person writes. So I am very blessed with all those comments. Please, write your comment if on this video if you find anything inspirational or helpful to doing art shows. It's not easy, but you have to get your work out there. I've learned over the years, and also I enjoy supporting the arts as well as supporting conservation. So this has been a very learning event. Watch those videos on the Plantation Wildlife, it was actually just the Wildlife Arts Festival in Thomasville, Georgia. That's a good 30 minutes long, but you can see all the artists there. I may have skipped over a few of them because of time constraints and the lack of light, because I did it after the show hours so that I would not be interfering with viewers and artists and that kind of thing. And you can also see what that tent was like at the Pavilion tent in Easton, Maryland, and kind of get an idea of the show experience from that. But not from the whole show, which overall was a very good experience. Both these shows, I had a great time. I learned a lot, and I hope you do too. So thanks a lot for following and subscribing to my channel. I appreciate your support.